Ultamize. Let me tell you something that nobody in your organization is ever going to say to you directly. Your behavior in meetings is being noticed, carefully noticed by people who have the ability to affect your career in significant ways. And for a large number of professionals, smart, capable, hardworking professionals, what's being noticed isn't that good. Not because they're doing anything dramatically awful, not because they're showing up way late or falling asleep or saying offensive things, but because of a set of small, repeatable, entirely visible behavioral habits that are quietly communicating something they never consciously choose to communicate. Let's start again with the phone. I know you've heard me talk about it a lot, but it's a big deal. You brought it into the meeting. It's on the table in front of you, maybe face down, maybe not. And at some point during the meeting, probably multiple points, you looked at it, just a glance, just a second, but it happened. And everybody in the room saw it happen. Maybe they were doing the same thing. Here's what the glance communicated to the person who was speaking at that moment. It communicated, hey, what you're saying isn't important enough to hold my attention. Something on this screen, an email, a notification, a text from someone who isn't even in the room, that thing is more worthy of my attention than what you're talking about right now. That's the message, whether you intended it or not, whether you were conscious of it or not. That's what landed. And if you're a junior person in that meeting and the person speaking was your boss, or your boss's boss, or a client, or someone whose impression of you matters, you just made a deposit into an account you didn't know you were building. An account that tracks quietly and without fanfare how seriously you take the people and the work around you. Now, let's talk about Zoom, because Zoom has introduced an entirely new category of behavioral failure that simply didn't exist a number of years ago. The Zoom call in a public space. You've seen this. You've probably been subjected to this. The person at the coffee shop, laptop open, on a full video call, speaking at normal conversational volume into their computer, while six people around them are trying to work or think or simply sit quietly with their coffee. Or the open plan office version, the person who takes a Zoom call at their desk in an open plan environment full of colleagues and proceeds to have a meeting at full volume while everyone within earshot is involuntarily attending it. Or the home version that became ubiquitous during the pandemic and never fully corrected itself. The Zoom call taken in a chaotic environment, kids running around in the background, dogs barking, doors slamming, roommates walking past in various stages of undress, all of it visible and audible to every single person on the call. What does that communicate? It communicates that this meeting, and by extension, the people in it, didn't warrant the basic preparation of finding a quiet, appropriate space. That's not a small message. That's actually quite a significant message to send. Let's talk about interrupting, because this is the meeting behavior that does the most invisible damage over the longest period of time. And confession, I've been guilty of it from time to time. Most people who interrupt in meetings don't think of themselves as interrupters. They think of themselves as engaged, enthusiastic, full of ideas, quick thinkers who are adding value in real time. Okay, from the inside, that's genuinely what it feels like. From the outside, it feels like something very different. From the outside, from other people's perspectives, being interrupted feels like being told that your thought isn't worth completing, that the interrupter's idea, which may or may not be related to what you were saying, is somehow more important than whatever you were about to say, that you don't need to finish because someone else has already decided what matters next. It's dismissive, even when it comes from a place of enthusiasm, even when the interruption is genuinely interesting or valuable. The act itself, the cutting off of another person's thought, carries a message that lands before the content of the interruption even registers. And in a meeting room, over time, the person who consistently interrupts develops a reputation. Not a good one. Not as the most dynamic person in the room, but as the most exhausting person in the room. People stop sharing half formed ideas around them. They stop taking conversational risks. They stop thinking out loud because thinking out loud requires a certain safety, a certain confidence that you'll be allowed to finish your thought, that the interrupter is quietly eliminated. Now, let's talk about multitasking in meetings because this has become so normalized that people seem genuinely surprised when you suggest it might be a problem. The laptop open, the email being drafted, the Slack messages being answered, all while nominally attending a meeting that someone organized and presumably considered important enough to put on the calendar. Here's the truth about multitasking in meetings, and it's backed by decades of research on attention and cognitive performance. You're not doing two things, you're doing two things badly. Your attention is split, which means neither the meeting nor the email is getting your actual best thinking. You're present in neither place. You're useful in neither place, even though you think you're doing everything, you're just killing it. You're not. And everyone in that meeting room can tell. They can tell from the slight delay in your responses, from the way you ask people to repeat things, from the slightly glazed quality of your attention when someone looks to you for a reaction. They can tell, and they're drawing conclusions about how much you value their time. So, what does good meeting behavior actually look like? What are the habits that build rather than quietly erode your professional reputation? For starters, phone out of sight, not face down on the table, out of sight, in your bag, in your pocket, somewhere that removes it entirely from the visual environment of the meeting. Laptop closed unless you're presenting or taking notes that serve the meeting, not your notes, notes that serve the meeting. There is a difference. Let people finish. Let them finish their thought completely before you respond, even if you know where they're going, even if you have the perfect response ready. Let them finish. The discipline of waiting, of holding your response until the other person has completed their thought. That is one of the most powerful professional habits you can develop, and one of the rarest. Ask one good question per meeting, just one. Make it a real question, a question that shows you've been listening, a question that moves the conversation forward. One genuinely good question does more for your professional reputation than 15 minutes of commentary. And be on time, not almost on time, not 2 minutes late with a casual apology, but on time, because arriving late to a meeting, especially a meeting with more than two people, is a way of communicating very clearly that your time is more valuable than everyone else's time combined. Your meeting behavior is your professional behavior. In a world where so much work happens remotely, asynchronously, invisibly, the moments when people can actually observe you, watch how you operate, see how you treat the people around you, those moments carry enormous weight. Every meeting, in a sense, is an audition, not for a specific role, for the general impression of who you are and how seriously you take the world around you. Make sure you're auditioning for the right part.